Hello, Gene Schwimmer here. Welcome to today's vlog, which is going to be an all Joe Biden vlog, or maybe I should say almost all Joe Biden vlog. A little bit of Donald Trump will creep in. We'll start with that first, and then we'll eventually get to the main subject, which is also about Joe Biden. So let's get Donald Trump out of the way. Well, actually, I'm going to give you a little aside before I get to this thing, because I just watched Trump. He was speaking in Ohio, making a speech to the Whirlpool washing machine makers, I guess they're in dryers, whatever the heck they make over there. It was an excellent speech. He spoke better than I've ever seen him speak. He does sometimes read from a teleprompter, from really substantive stuff, and then he can wing it when he just kind of riffs and just talks to people at rallies. But this time he used his very at ease riffing demeanor for talking about substantive issues. It flowed really well. He was really good on the stump today, which, because it was part campaign rally, contrasts him with Joe Biden, still stuck in his basement. I think he's going to have to get out, Biden is, and start speaking in front of people the way Trump does, because I have been looking at the polls. The polls have always shown Biden ahead, but they've usually showed him ahead by a pretty good margin, in the high single digits and even into the low double digits. Here is the list from the 5th. I'm recording this on the 6th, and this is from the 5th, and you can see they all show Biden ahead. But if you look more closely, you can see that the last couple of polls, or a couple of recent polls, show Biden ahead, but by only 3 points. So that is a narrowing margin. Also, the betting sites, which I do put, even though they were wrong in 2016, I do still put some credence in them. They were showing, well, it was interesting, Trump was ahead in the betting pool all the way up until coronavirus hit, and then he just dropped like a rock, and Biden really soared, and the spread between those thinking that Trump would win and those thinking Biden would win widened to 24, even a little over 24 points in favor of Biden. Today it was down to 23 something, first in a long time. So maybe the trend is starting to turn. It's too soon to say. I put that out there like the network says. I report, you decide. Now I want to play a video. You may have seen this, probably did, but just in case you haven't, this is a video of a reporter noting that people have been questioning his mental ability, whether he may be in the beginning or even later stages or further along stages of Alzheimer's or dementia. And he mentioned, the reporter did, that Trump got those same kind of questions. He took the Montreal Cognitive Assessment test, and he aced it. The person who gave the test confirmed it. Confirmed on TV, I think it was CNN, but confirmed on a network that Trump was telling the truth, that he did very well on that test. So the reporter asked whether Biden would take the same test. This is the exchange. It's on video, so just watch. I'll wait for you. I'm not going anywhere, so just watch.
Mr. Vice President, your opponent in this election, President Trump, has made your mental state a campaign topic. And when asked in June if you'd been tested for cognitive decline, you've responded that you're constantly tested in effect because you're in situations like this on the campaign trail. But please clarify specifically, have you taken a cognitive test?
No, I haven't taken a test. Why the hell would I take a test? Come on, man. That's like saying before you got in this program, if you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not, what do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
What do you say?
Well, you saw the video. you can see that Uncle Joe is losing it a little bit. He was very offended. He's not going to take the test, but he does this all the time. He just says something really terrible, and he says to this black guy, "Are you a junkie?" But aside from that, or a Jonesy is the term. He probably meant to say junkie, so there you have another gaffe there. I've never heard the term Jonesy, but he was very, very offended by the suggestion that he take a test. Remember, again, that Trump just took the test, whether he was offended or not. He just took the test. But Biden obviously is resisting taking the test. But his example, and this gets back to what I was talking about yesterday, about the problem that our Democrat friends have sometimes, the ability or unwillingness to make a logical argument or a logical counter argument. Because what Biden said, well, you just heard it. Biden said, well, do you have to take a drug test before you come out onto the air to speak to everybody? And the reporter should have answered, I'm disappointed, again, as I have been with some Republicans I was talking about yesterday, the obvious response, which should have been, well, I'm not showing any signs of drug addiction or being on drugs. If I had been showing these signs, then yes, I shouldn't even be on the air. They should not put me on that day. And maybe Joe Biden, if you're showing signs of dementia, maybe you shouldn't be running for president. But the point is that if that reporter were showing signs of being on drugs or drunk or something, and it was happening more than once, then yeah, he would have to take a test, or yes, he should take a test. And that is the distinction that Biden didn't make and this reporter didn't make. And it's a logical conclusion that if Biden were showing no signs of dementia or Alzheimer's, then of course he should not take a test, like Elizabeth Warren or Kamala Harris. If somebody like that, they look perfectly, whether you agree with them or not. I mean, you could say they're crazy, but that's as a criticism, that's as a pejorative, that's not as a medical opinion. But Biden is showing clear signs. So yes, he should take a test. It's unfortunate that the media are not pushing on this. They should. I hope Trump will do an ad on this, which gets me now to an ad that just came out for the Trump campaign. I'm starting to sense, I could be wrong, it's early, but as we all know, Trump changed campaign managers. I think it actually is starting to make a difference. I think there's a noticeable change. Anyways, here is the ad, which makes this very good point, I think, that should be made more and more, and maybe that's the new campaign managers doing and will happen as the campaign goes on, that Biden is just an empty suit, that the radical left of his party is going to fill with all their policy proposals. This ad makes that point. Watch the ad.
Joe Biden has embraced the policies of the radical left. Trillions in new taxes, crushing middle-class families.
If you elect me, your taxes are going to be raised, not cut.
Amnesty for 11 million illegal immigrants.
Citizenship for 11 million undocumented folks.
Reducing police funding.
Yes, absolutely.
The radical left has taken over Joe Biden and the Democratic Party. Don't let them take over America.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
And now on to today's subject, which is the vice presidential candidate for Joe Biden. He has to choose somebody. He's getting down to the wire. The convention is going to be soon. It's probably going to be virtual, as I understand it. He won't be traveling anywhere. He's going to stay in his basement, nice and safe and warm in his basement, with who knows how many people just out of camera range watching him and maybe prompting him. But I'm guessing a lot of the times going like, you know, like that. But that's not my problem. It's not my business. But I am talking about this vice presidential choice that he has to make. I'm talking about the problem that he has, why it is taking him so long. And, well, this is why you should be watching my vlogs, because I give you the historical perspective on certain issues. I give you a little in-depth analysis that you don't get anywhere else. But you have to go back to the 1944 election, Franklin Roosevelt. Now, Franklin Roosevelt, well, it wasn't his mental state, but he was deteriorating physically very rapidly. He was dying. Put it frankly, he was dying, and it was obvious, at least to the other people in his party, that he was dying. Now, for the first 3 terms, Roosevelt's terms, his vice president was a gentleman named Henry Wallace. Now, Henry Wallace was an out-and-out socialist, very, very far left. Very far left. I mean, not like a democratic socialist. He was out there. And the party put up with it because he was the vice president, not the president. And FDR, yes, he had polio, but that did not impede his job functioning. So the Democratic Party didn't worry about Henry Wallace being the vice president because they had no fear that FDR would die in office and that Wallace would become president. But in his 4th term, that was clear. They were sure he was dying. They were very, very afraid of Wallace becoming president, but they were worried, very worried, that in FDR's 4th term, he would die, that he would not finish his term, and that Wallace would become president. They did not want that to happen, so they went to FDR and they said, even though we're staunch Democrats, if Wallace is on the ticket, we will not support you. This was mostly the conservative Southern Democrats, I understand, but it was enough of them that FDR got the message, and for his 4th run, he got rid of Wallace and chose Truman. Thank God he did, because FDR died in office and Truman became president. That was the problem that FDR had. Now fast forward to today, and Biden has essentially the same problem. There are worries that he will either die in office or just become so mentally unstable that he cannot perform the job of president. So whoever is the vice presidential nominee could very well become president. And if that person, well, it's the possibility that that person, that vice president, could become president that makes this choice, Biden's choice, as important as FDR's was. That is the problem, but it's a problem for different people. It's a problem for Biden and the campaign, but it's not a problem, as it was for FDR, with the base of Biden's party, the Democrats, this far left base, because they would love that to happen. That is exactly what they want. They would love to have Biden not finish his term. In fact, I would not be surprised that they would try to push him out some way within 24 hours of him taking the oath of office, if not sooner. But you have a left wing, a very far left Democratic Party that is not telling Biden not to choose a very liberal, very far left vice presidential candidate. You have the elite at the top who engineered Biden himself getting the nomination from all these other, remember they all dropped off. There was a lot of pressure put on all the other candidates to drop out right before South Carolina so that Biden could become the nominee, and he is. But this is Biden's vice presidential dilemma, because he has to choose a candidate who will be moderate enough that people will be okay if that person becomes president, because that person very well might become president, but he cannot lose the support of these far, far, far left Democrats whom he's going to need. He can't alienate them either. So think yourself, who is the candidate that can satisfy the voters and satisfy the left wing of his party? Because there are even some, I mentioned it in an earlier vlog, there are about 300 delegates, not enough to cost Biden the nomination, I'm pretty sure, but 300 who said they would not support his nomination if he did not specifically call for and run on Medicare for all, or they will not support him. Now, if the vice presidential candidate is for Medicare for all and the Green New Deal, that's going to cost Biden a lot of votes in certain states. That's Biden's problem. And now my problem. My problem is that I could really use a thumbs up if you like this video. Share it with anybody you think would also like the video. Got any comments? You can put them in the comment section below the video. Share it with anybody I think I already said that. I'm getting old. Share it with anybody you think would also like the video. Well, you can share it twice or share it once with 2 people. But also, if you have any questions, suggestions for future topics, that can go where the comments go. And you could subscribe. That's another problem I have. I could use more subscribers. I could always use more subscribers. But most of all, I could use all of you coming back to see me again. I look forward to seeing all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.